Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the NGEN Markets training session. So, meanwhile, others are joining in. We will start with our topic and topic for today. So, today we are going to talk about mutual fund analytics for several, types of mutual fund like equities, hybrid, and even debt, and how you can use such analytics for analyzing them and selecting them. And then we will head over to Q&A where you can have your questions and your queries. You can either write it on the chat box or verbally, and we can address them up. So let's go ahead. I will show my terminal, and accordingly then we can take it forward. I hope my screen is visible to everyone, and my voice is clearly audible. So if not, please let me know on the chat box and I will take a look into it. So here, as you can see, this is the NGEN Markets terminal, and there are several ways to actually run the analytics of any particular set of a mutual fund. So one way is to search the fund from here, right? So yeah, I hope my screen is visible to everyone, because I just got a chat. You can't see anything. So if not, please let me know. And running the mutual fund is yeah. Okay. So if you want to run any particular set of a mutual fund, you can search any fund from here. So let's say, for an example, we are running an equity-based mutual fund. So, you can easily search from here and run the analytics in the system. This is one way to run any particular set of analytics of mutual fund. And another way is to actually go into the fund section or the compare section, right? So like for an example, if I just head over to the compare section, you can add in a fund here, like, any particular set of, mid caps or large cap fund. Just a second. So let's say you have added a couple of funds in the system and you want to run them in a different tab. What you can do is you can just click on the name. Once you click on another tab opens up with that set of a mutual fund. So this is another great way, because you can now compare multiple sets of in one place with different tabs. So that's a great way to run the analytics. So let's go ahead and analyze one of them. So let's say we are taking a look towards one of the mid cap funds, and we can just start taking a look towards the fund performance and the entire analytics what NGEN Markets holds. So here you can actually see a couple of parameters like AUM. Now, if you want to see the historical AUM of any particular set of a mutual fund, all you need to do is click on this button. So you can see the historical AUM as well. And here you can actually download this in an Excel format, which is a CSV format, which gets downloaded. And you can see the history of the AUM in this Excel format. Another great thing here is that you can actually check the entire fund performance here, given here. So in this fund performance, what you can do is you can check the fund performance vis-a-vis a benchmark. A benchmark can be chosen from here. So here you can see, we have already selected Nifty Mid Cap 150 as a benchmark, and you can also select your own if you want. So we have given an option to select your own benchmark here, right? And also the custom benchmark. So you can create your own custom benchmark and add them into the system and then run them. So clearly here we have it is pre-selected as Nifty Mid Cap 150, and then you can run the fund performance and check the entire performance stats given here, which actually includes the cumulative return, CAGR, annual return, and volatility against the benchmark. So this is one important update we actually had before a couple of weeks, that now you can actually compare the benchmark performances versus the asset which we have as a mutual fund, right? And you can also check the risk adjusted return like Sharpe's ratio with the asset and the benchmark, and the value at risk. So if you're taking a look towards risk for any particular set of a fund, you can easily look towards the value at risk parameter, because it states that there is a 5% chance or a probability to have such a loss. This is all on the basis of historical daily return. And what you can do is, you can actually change the confidence interval. So why 5% chance? Because 100 minus 95 gives you a 5% chance to have such a loss in an asset, which is our, Kotak Equity Emerging Equity Fund, and the benchmark, which is, negative 27.95 as a benchmark of mid cap, Nifty Mid Cap 150. right? So in this sense, we are more conservative than the benchmark and have a lesser set of value at risk against the benchmark. And we have also got implied value at risk. Now, implied value at risk is all about volatility, historical volatility. So what we do is the same, it applies for the same as well. There's a 5% chance that you can have such a loss like negative 24.68 against a benchmark. Now, this confidence interval can actually be changed. So let's say you want to know what is the 1% chance that you can have a particular set of a loss. What you can do is you can click on 99, you can click and you can see this is negative 40.45 in a 1% chance of value at risk. So this is where it looks like whenever you take a look towards the historical value at risk for any particular set of a fund against a benchmark. Now here we have also got the relative stats. Now relative stats gives us very insightful information against the against the benchmark, like what is our cumulative outperformance from a particular set of a period. Now you can also define the period, because here in the start date, if you see here, there's a start date given here where you can change the start date, right? So you can click on this and you can easily take a look towards, these are the preset, start dates we have given here since inception as well, and also a customized start date. So you can take a look into this and you can, either go for, one of them, let's say 5 years ago, and then you can see the relative stats that how it has given an excess return over benchmark and annual return over benchmark, which is an alpha. And in this relative stats, you can also check the tracking error and the info ratio. So how different are we from the benchmark, shows what is the tracking error. And also it also shows the up capture ratios, which actually gives us a very insightful information whenever you click on this I button, right? So here you can see this is the performance of our asset, which is our fund, and this is the performance of our benchmark. On a monthly sense, you can see these are all the monthly breakdown of the return of our asset, which is which is the fund we have chosen, and the benchmark, and you can actually compare them in the up months. So this up capture ratios actually denotes that what is the performance of our asset against the benchmark when the benchmark was up. In the down capture, it is similar, but when the benchmark was down, what is the performance of Kotak Emerging Equity Fund, right? So you can click on this and you can easily see this is what our performance has been from the last 5 years against the benchmark. And here what you can see is you can easily check what is the monthly chart and the yearly chart as well. So I hope my screen is, properly visible to everyone. Just got a chat that the screen is blur. If not, please let me know. Then, I will take it forward. Uh, Within the monthly chart as well, what you can see is that this is the monthly performance from the last 5 years, right? We have chosen a start date, October 2017 till today. And within the last 5 years, I would definitely want to know that what were my up months, positive months. Now, we cannot see the positive months here, but we can definitely see here in the statistical way that there is 63% of the months which were up and positive, which is 39. So out of 61 months, this entire fund was positive 39, 63% of the time. And in the down months, you can see this is 36.07. And what is the monthly average of my up months is 4.40, and one monthly average of my down months is negative 4.50. Whereas you can also check the volatility and the best months, best up months, and the worst down months in this period. And you can also check the yearly stats. Now we have just gotten only 4 years yearly stats in a consideration. You can easily see that in the 3 years we were positive and the 1 year we were negative. So here you can check for any particular set of a start date. It depends on what start date you choose. So you can change this. You can click on it and you can see from since inception, or since 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, and even a custom start date. So it gives you a proper idea whenever you're gauging a performance of any equity mutual fund, even a debt, and even a hybrid mutual fund. Now let's talk about asset allocation. So within asset allocation, I would just show you another fund so that we can take a look towards some of a different set of a category. Let's say we go for another fund like Kotak Balance Advantage. So you can search a fund from here, as I've told before. And here, what you can do is you can actually take a look towards asset allocation. Now, before going ahead with the asset allocation, there's another tab called YTM, average maturity and the duration. Now here you can see the historical, YTM and average maturity. All you need to do is just click on this, and you can see this is what the historical, YTM, yield to maturity, average, maturity, and even, the duration given here, which is also downloadable in Excel. So here, this is a very, very useful tab. You can just click on this. It's a CSV format, and once it is downloaded, these are the debt stats, and you can download this even for a, debt fund and a hybrid fund as well. And these are the stats which are given here. So this is, pretty useful. Another great thing is whenever we look towards asset allocation in, a hybrid category, we have also given a very important function which is called as derivative shorts, which whereas you can actually check the net equity positions. So here, if I, click on this, and, you will see this is the equity positions I have. And you can also click on the detailed view. Now, when you check the detail view, you can actually click, see the, only the equity holdings. These are all given here. The government securities, you can click on them and you can see the government securities, the reverse repo, the treasury bills, Indian mutual funds, if there is an, FOF, and, corporate debts. Now here, you can see the net equity just by clicking on this and apply, show derivative shorts. So here you will see all the negative positions of this particular, equities. And this is what it is given here. You can just, click on this show shorts, and here you will see all the, asset allocation accordingly for any particular set of a hybrid fund. We have also given, a couple of very important things is that, every single parameters, wherever you see this, this button, it will help you to download all the holdings in CSV. So I've been showing you around, and this is pretty useful because, any point of the time, if you want to make a customized analysis, this is where it will come in very handy, right? Then we have, another thing which is very useful is position changes by month. Now, position changes, you can actually check on a monthly basis just by, changing the month period. Like for an example, if you want to check for 30th April 2022, these were the largest increases, which includes government securities 2031, and these are the positions added and the positions removed with the largest decreases as well. And you can check that for even December 2021. So it's pretty useful that you can see all the positions removed, the positions added, and then you can also check positions over time for even a sector, and on a basis of security as well. Now there is another release we have which is called as shares held in lakhs, which is very useful because whenever you look towards by security, you will see these are by securities accordingly, and this is the data sets given. So which starts 12 months before, like 31st October 2021, and these are all percentages as we have given here, which is also downloadable in a CSV format and by sector as well. So you can check that by sector as well. So by sector, you can see these are the government securities, the bank, banking as an equity, and you can also see all these details on a basis of sector. Now, very important thing is that whenever you click on by security, you can easily check the details of the shares held in lakhs. So just a second, I'll just load this up. Yeah, so here you can see the shares held in lakhs, whenever you click on this. Now, this is very similar to, what we have seen in holdings analysis in our platform. Now, this is for an individual security. So you can see these are the shares held in lakhs for, particular set of equities. And here, very important thing is that you can also check concentration. Now, concentration is one thing which you should really look towards, because if we have a very high concentration, like maybe like 30%, so here you can see the concentration is 17.87, which just denotes that, the top three exposures in this particular set of a mutual fund, contributes as to 17.87%. You can easily check that just by going to overview and just by, checking the entire contribution from here, right? So the entire contribution given from here, you can actually see these are the, if you add these up, you will get the concentration here. And here you can check for top 3, top 5, top 10, and even top 20. Plus, we have also given the equity market cap exposure for any particular set of a fund. So you can actually, click on as of equity exposure, and you can see this is, 74% of the equity exposure, is large cap in this particular set of a fund. And then we have equity sectors. So within the equity component, what this fund holds, what are the sectors, they are highly concentrated towards, like for an example, banking, IT, and infrastructure. So you can easily click on one of them, and you can see what are the stocks in banking and what is the allocation in banking, where you can download this, sector exposures in Excel, which is given here. And then we have debt. So debt, you can see these are the fund credit ratings given here, and the government securities, what kind of debt securities this particular set of a portfolio or fund portfolio holds. So this is one useful parameters, that asset allocation holds the entire information from overview till debt, and you can check that for any particular set of a mutual fund. Then we have another set of a tab called peer analysis. Now peer analysis is pretty useful if you want to check the peer comparison between that particular category. Like for an example, if we are looking towards balance advantage in dynamic asset allocation, you can easily see what is the SEBI classification average of dynamic asset allocation, and what is the parameters of those against the SEBI classification average. Now this SEBI average can also be seen in category average here in the fund section. So if I just hold on again and go through here, you can easily see that whenever we look towards hybrid here, you can see this is what dynamic asset allocation has, and this is the SEBI classification average, whereas you can click on it and you can see all the funds compared. Similarly, we have given this in a another like the individual fund analytics as well. So whenever you load in any particular fund analytics, you can check the analysis in the analytics as itself, to actually compare it. Now to compare it here, all the parameters are given from 1 year till 5 year, and the volatility and Sharpe's ratio. You can easily click on this in an ascending or a descending order, and check which are the funds which have actually has better Sharpe ratio against this fund we are analyzing. And this is also downloadable in Excel. Now these are the three parameters we have shown, and these are one useful parameters to check for any set of mutual fund. And we have also given a fund manager details. Now, if you want to check the fund manager details, all you need to do is just head over to this tab, and you can see there are 3 fund managers who are managing this fund, and you can see the details of this fund manager. This is an actual update we had a couple of weeks before, and you can see the active status of the fund manager and the start date of the fund manager, not just for this fund. Basically, you can see what the fund manager is managing for other funds as well, and if it is active or not, you can actually check that. And here you can actually click on the fund. So let's say another way to which I have shown you to load any analytics of a fund, all you need to do is click on them. So let's say I have some curiosity against Kotak bond fund. What I can do is I can just click on it, a new tab opens. Now this I can do for every single fund. So every single fund, if I want to take a look towards Kotak blue chip, I have some interest in this fund manager, I would definitely want to check that. I can see blue chip in front of my system. Now I can easily analyze multiple sets of funds in different tabs, and create the reports if I want. So this is very, very useful if I want to check multiple funds, and you can see the fund manager given here in details. And then coming ahead with certain sets of analytics like rolling analysis, distribution, drawdowns. So I'll just show you rolling analysis and how you can use rolling analysis for any fund. So let's say we are running a particular set of analysis since let's say 8 to 10 years, right? So let me just take a fund. Yeah, so let's say we are running a blue chip fund, and here what we are going to do is we are going to run rolling analysis here. And within rolling analysis, I would like to know what is my average rolling return for a 1 year period. Now 1 year period is actually shown here as 260 days. So 260 days is working period in a year. You can see this is 260 for 1 year, 520 for 2 years, and 780 for 3 years. Now we have defaulted this, but you can actually change this defaulted number. All you need to do is type in a couple of numbers like 1300 if you're looking for 5 years, and run. Once you run them, you will see the rolling analysis starts for the 5 year period for this particular set of fund, which is given in green. Now here you can make this data sets, which is given here, as absolute or annualized as well. I make it annualized, I can easily compare a 1 year, a 2 year, and even a 5 year. So let me make this as a 3 year period. So let's say we make it 780. So 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year, I can easily do the comparison on an annualized basis. Now here, if I just talk about a 1 year period, 260, right? So here what I can do is I can easily see any data point. If I go towards like this data point, it denotes the sum of the previous 260 days daily return. 14.03 denotes that. So every single data point are the simulation of the 260 days daily returns. And then what you can do is you can see the average rolling return of 260 days given here. So this is what the fund, holds in a historical sense, that 13.61 is an average return of 60. And this is what the volatility of this entire graph is, right? You can see there's a period where it was as high as 68.47, and there was also a point in this particular graph where we have backtested as low as negative 31.10. And you can easily see that how the low point is being decreasing from 1 year till 3 year and 3 year till 5 year, right? So here you can actually do the comparison that how long can you hold such a fund. And you can actually see, if you hold long enough, what would have happened, already that has happened in the historical sense. And that can give you an idea for the next couple of years. There we also have return ranges. Now this is very useful, because if I'm looking towards 260 here, so within 260, I would like to know that if I'm investing for a 1 year period, what is my frequency? What is the fund's frequency for coming between 10 to 20%? Now, what you can do is you can just type in 10 here. Now, this is all doable and all customizable. You can make it 10 to 20. And between 10 to 20, what is the frequency? The frequency of this fund, which is Kotak Blue Chip, is 29.31%. Now you can do this for any particular set of a frequency like 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and you can easily understand that what a client can expect from such a fund if if he invests in this fund, right? So here you can see within 30 to 40, I might not have a good frequency. But what if I'm going for 0 to 10, right? So for 0 to 10, I would definitely want to check the scenario for a 1 year period. And here you can see 28%. So if I am considering 0 to 20, then I would especially have 50% or more than 50% of the frequency between 0 to 20, right? Now this you can do for any particular set of a return range. This is a rolling return range. Because we are calculating rolling analysis daily, we get the flexibility to actually define our ranges for any particular set of the interval. Here you can also see for 30 to 100. If you want to know that what are the return ranges for 30 to 100, I can do that. So here you can see that for 30 to 100, that is what the frequency is, 14.67%. Now you can change any frequency here, and you can actually check it out in the graph itself. Now this is not just for one year period. You can see this is a 260 right now. You can change for 780. Now you can see for 780, the highest frequency is actually between 12 to 18% here. And one of the second highest, you can see it's uh, 6 to 12. So this is annualized. So you have to be aware that we have annualized this all returns for even 1 year, 2 year, and even 1 year, 3 year, and even 5 year period. And then we have rolling volatility stats. Now rolling volatility stats gives us an idea that there's another great way, that if I want to just check one thing, right, you can just click on this button so that you can only see one single rolling analysis, and you can compare it. So here a very useful thing here in rolling volatility analysis is that when you check days, which is 1 year, 1 year, 2 year, and 1 year, 5 year, and 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year period, you can easily check the volatility for a 1 year, which is an average of 15.45. And you can check what, how the volatility has been from the last 10 years or 12 years. So this is what the start date we have. And this is how the volatility has been behaving from the last 10 years. And this is an 260 days rolling volatility. Now volatility is a dynamic, not static. Now you can easily see how the volatility has increased in certain sets of a period, and you can easily guess what these periods were, like 2020, COVID, and you can actually check here as well. There's another increase in volatility in 2014, then 2016, and you can easily understand when the fund becomes volatile, right? Now this is very useful if you are checking for one year period. You can check for a 5-year period, and for a uh, for a 3-year period, and even for a 5-year period, so that you can actually check in the rolling volatility stats. And as that this is one single analytics for rolling analysis. You can even compare rolling analysis in the compare section, that we can have it in a other session. But here in rolling analysis, this is what it shows whenever you are taking a look towards the average return of any particular set of a fund. We have also gotten another very important parameter. Whenever we look towards risk, we would definitely want to know that uh, if there has been some drawdowns, what has happened. So you can just click on this drawdowns button, and you can easily see some gray areas. Now these gray areas, if you see that, if you just zoom in, you just have to just click and zoom in. If you see this gray area, this is a drawdown period. The gray area is a drawdown period, which shows you the loss, and the white area shows you the recovery period. Now here you can see the losses, and you can see the start price of that loss, the end price of that loss, and the days it took to recover for that particular set of a loss. So here we have given top 10 drawdowns in the system. And here you can even see for 2021 October, and the end date, which is 17 June 2022, the recovery is 82%. Now you can see this recovery for any particular fund if it is recovering, right? So it gives us a fair enough idea that if there has been some loss, what has been the recovery, and how much days it took to recover if there was a loss. And you can see for this periods, these are the periods given here: start date, end date, and this is actually the recovery date. So this start date and end date is basically the start and end of the drawdown period, which is this gray area. If I've shown you these gray areas, these gray areas actually denotes this start and end date. And the recovery date is actually the recovery date which has recovered from this end price till the start price, right? And here you can also screenshot these couple of parameters. So we have given screenshot for the drawdown sizes, and even this drawdowns over time in the last 10 years. And another great thing here is that if you're looking towards the benchmarking, and if you want to know what are the scenarios within the benchmark, what you can do is you can click on this scenario analysis. Now scenario analysis is another great way to check that what has happened in those periods when there was a crisis, or when there was something something you would like to check in that particular set of a period. So this is an inbuilt scenario we have given, like, which includes Brexit and demonetization. But if you want to add your own scenarios, you can do that as well. But let's say you're clicking on demonetization. Now this is the start date of demonetization, end date, and this is what the excess return over the benchmark, which is Nifty 100 in front of this. You can, by the way, change from here, and you can check the correlation and the return against the benchmark. So definitely we had a negative excess return over benchmark against the benchmark, and the volatility of ours is still lesser than the benchmark, but still had a negative alpha. Now in this case, what you can do is you can also add a custom scenario. To add a custom scenario, all you need to do is just click on this. So when you click on this, you name a scenario like scenario 1, like SC1, right? And you have your own start date. So I'm taking a random start date as of now. And once you take that start date, you can actually take a look towards what has happened between November 2016, 1st November 2016 and 30th November 2016. Now you can name this scenario as as per needed. If there is any monetary policy, even you can do this for debt funds. And you can actually save this custom scenario in this format. So here you can easily see when you click on this SC1, which is a scenario 1 which we have made. Against this, we also had a negative alpha, excess return over benchmark. So this is another pretty useful use case whenever you're looking towards a mutual fund analytics. We have just skipped out one portion, which is called as distribution. Now distribution is a very statistical, but you can actually understand this. One thing here is that you can actually take a look towards the daily return period. Now this is a daily return period from the start date of 2011 for any particular fund. Now, this daily return period, what has been the frequency of this fund in particular set of an intervals. Now, these intervals are predetermined as per what bins you choose. Bins are this 10, if you can choose a 10 or 5 accordingly. So you're just, cutting it in a sense that these are the bins. Now you can see these are the 5 bins we have. Now you can make it 10 as well if you want, and you run it. Once you run it, you can easily see the frequency. So now you can efficiently say that there is a 71%, 70%, frequency of this fund coming into the frequency of negative 0.4 to positive 1.65. So this is statistical, but actually you can, change the return period. Now, if you're looking towards a monthly return period or a weekly return period, now this observations actually denotes the number of days from 2011 till today. And when you go for a weekly return period, you will see the observations have decreased. Now we are just taking a weekly return set of this fund. On a weekly sense, this is what the frequency is for the fund to have the frequency in this particular set of a period. And this is all on the basis of historical data. Now you can see the interval is negative 0.7 to positive 1.6, and 43% of the frequency underlies between them. So this is, what we show in the distribution. You can also check the monthly one. Monthly one is, very relatable, because you can see, where our frequency is underlying. And here you can see the mean data set, the median, and the mode. And you can also see the skewness. So skewness shows you how skewed the return set are in the left side or the right side, positive or the negative skewed. And you can even see the frequency table here as well. So how the frequency has been mapping out for this fund for a monthly, weekly, and a daily return set. You can change the bins if you want. Like if you go for 100 bins, you can do that. Once you go for 100 bins, you can see how many frequencies we have taken into consideration. Now this is not advisable. You can actually have it more simplified, but just by having 10 or 5 intervals, which gives you a fair enough idea that that is what the frequency of the fund is if I'm taking a look towards return period as a monthly return period. And this frequency table can also be downloaded in Excel. So there are many tabs given here which helps us to download data sets in Excel. And this is one great thing about NGEN is that we get, you can get any data sets and create your own reports. But we have also given you the ability to add your own reports, like this 3-pager PDF report. Now this is 1-pager, 3-pager, and 2-pager and 3-pager given here. You can click on one of them. I will show detailed report how it is generated. And uh, you whatever we have actually shown in the analytics is also given here in the report. Now report is very dynamic because just a second. Yeah. So whenever whenever you see this report, whatever you select in the analytics, like even the even the period of, like we've discussed the rolling period as uh, 3-year and 5-year, that will be actually be added in the report. So here you can see the entire report sets with the asset allocation, holdings, the performance given here. You can also see the stats given here, and even the drawdowns with the rolling return. So now you can see the rolling returns we chose were 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year. That is the reason this has shown this particular set of the uh, uh, rolling return stats. And that is how you can actually preset your own analytics and then click on that particular PDF, which gives you what you want to be added into the system. And this is another great use case because it is all dynamic as per the analytics. Another great use case here is that whenever you take a look towards the customization, you can go towards the PowerPoint, because PowerPoint is all very customizable. And creating a PowerPoint for an individual fund is very impressive, because you can create for many such, even Kotak Bond and UTI Mid Cap and Kotak Emerging within a single click. Here, once I run this report for one particular set of fund, just a second, this is what the fund screen is visible to everyone in the PowerPoint. So in this, what you can do is you can actually do the customization yourself. So everything from given here, with the percentage, you can see the asset allocation, overall asset allocation. Now one more important thing is whatever you select in the detail view, that will be printed here. You can change the colors, the position concentrations with the data sets here, very, very useful. depends upon what kind of colors you're taking a look towards. And that is what the power of customization this platform gives you, so that you can use it as your pitch book whenever you're suggesting a fund to a client with the analytics we have shown. So if you're looking towards only the price return stats, and you don't want to show the relative stats, it depends upon what you want to show properly, and what how you want to model your own PowerPoint presentation. That is how you can use it accordingly in this sense. And here we also have the drawdown. So drawdowns, you can see this is a recovery period. Now what I would do is I would highlight these top drawdown periods, so that to show that if I'm recommending some funds, like for an example these days to recover, I would definitely highlight some periods to show that why these drawdowns are making sense if I'm suggesting such a fund. So a great use case, because you can make your own customizable report, like how I have highlighted. And that is all co-branded. You will have your own logo here, you definitely have. And this will how it will show accordingly for any particular set of a fund. So accordingly, I've shown the entire presentation, so we can go ahead with our Q&A. But before going to a Q&A, you can also load in a debt fund. So, loading any particular debt fund or a bond fund is pretty easy. You can just, type in that fund and run it. So that's, how it works out. And then you can, what I've shown you here is, if you want to check the yield to maturity and the duration, that you can easily check. So this is a very useful parameter if you want to check any particular set of a fund. So let's go ahead, and start with our, Q&A, and we can take it forward. So is there any questions?
Okay, so for the Q&A, let's just have a quick look at the chat box. So the first question was a little early on, asking how we can get rolling returns and standard deviation for a particular period. So if you want to look at rolling returns for a particular period, you can obviously look here. In this case, if you want to specify the period, the end date is always the latest date when you're looking at single funds, but you can change the start date. So when you change the start date here, the page will reload, and you can choose any date, a custom date, or any of these shortcuts, and then come to rolling analysis. The rolling analysis will be on that period. Now, if you want to customize the end date as well, the best place is actually in the compare section, where you can basically just, you could just maybe load in one fund or however many you want, and you can obviously change the start and end dates here. So, and separately, your question about volatility. So I don't think there's a place where you can actually look at the standard deviation over a particular period. If you want to change the start date, that's very easy. Umair, if you go back to the single fund page again, the Kotak fund, the next tab. So here again, if you change the start date, the first tab, fund performance, will show you for whatever the start date to now, you'll actually see the standard deviation over there. There's another question saying, from where do we download Excel historical data of the fund? That's very easy. Just load any fund and you click on this icon here, and you'll get an Excel which has the date and the price, as well as an extra column for return if you want it. But downloading historical data for any fund is pretty straightforward. There you can see that's the historical price. And of course, it's only going to download whatever you set your start date. So you're saying 2019 here is because that's the start date which chose. So you can go back as you want as the start date of the fund, obviously. And sometimes if the start date doesn't load, please make sure that you have a benchmark which also has data for that period. Otherwise, it will only show you a smaller. After that, we had a question about, can we screenshot downside and upside capture ratios? So capture ratios are available on this page. And here you can see them, and you can click the I button on the capture ratios if you want. And you could take a screenshot now. Ideally, you can even use the Windows tool if you're on Windows to just screenshot this particular screen. We don't currently have a separate button to screenshot just this window. If that's important, then do write to us at support@ngenresearch.com, and we can add it to the release list. YTM is on date of previous month end. So it will always be previous month end because YTM is something that we get from our data provider. And basically that's the data that comes out of the AMC. And about the beginning of the month, around about between 5th and 15th of every month, different AMCs release on different dates. And that data is always as of the previous month end. So we are in 4th November right now. Over the next 5 to 10 days, you will see new data coming in. And you'll be able to see the YTM for 31st October. There's a question saying, what is beta in the end? So Umair, if you just go to the beta tab here. So beta is a measure that basically measures the relationship between two return series. So in this case, the two return series are this fund and its benchmark. So the Nifty 100 benchmark and this particular fund. So basically, we've got a beta of 1.02, which is quite close to it. So it's saying that this particular fund moves very, very much in line with Nifty 100. And this basically shows the closer it is to 1, that's how similarly they'll move. For example, a beta of 1.2 implies that, at least based on historical data, if the benchmark moves 10%, the fund will move 12% because it's 1.2. If the beta is 0.8, that means the benchmark moves 10%, the fund will move 8%. But again, please remember that this is a historical measure. Wherever you see beta anywhere in the world, it will always be a historical measure. It gives you an idea of what to expect in the future. Okay, so there's another question saying model portfolio client I want to compare with 5 funds. Okay, so this is a slightly longer answer. So if you want to actually, we'll try to give you a summary. If you want to compare a model portfolio of a client with 5 other funds, what you can do is you can see, for example, you can add a few funds here, and then you can add a custom security. So let's say there's an example, you have 6, these are the funds that you want to compare against, and the portfolio has to be added as a custom security. So may just go ahead and add anything. So let's assume for a second that this particular one, equity MF conservative 3.0, that's your client portfolio. But how do you come up with this? So you have to first run the portfolio in the portfolio section. Once you do that, you have to download the data and upload it as a custom security. Only then can you do what we did on the custom in the compare section. If you want a further, a proper explanation of how to do this, we can get in touch with you offline, but it's definitely possible. In fact, here, as you see, Umair has just run a particular portfolio. Just assume that this is your client. So he's just downloaded the prices. And what he does is, after that, he basically takes the prices in Excel. He will have to copy and paste them into the platform. So there it is. So he takes a copy of everything here and goes to the custom security section and paste this data here, and then he has to save it. Once he saves, it will be available in the compare section. Okay, so now next question, can you show simple annualized returns of debt funds where they're available for less than 1 year? So we don't really show returns as annualized when it's less than 1 year. There's only one place where we show that. It's the point-to-point tab in the compare section. The reason for it is that there are some guidelines from SEBI about basically showing annualized returns when it's less than 1 year. This is one place where you can actually specify a date range, and we'll annualize it if you select the annualized option. Basically on the top here. So this is where you can actually look at annualized returns for any time period, even if it's less than 1 year. You just have to make sure you click the let's go 2022. Just take a small period of time here. And then you analyze it. So now you see annualized numbers from 3rd October to 1st November, which was just over a month, just less than a month. So this is where you can actually see it. But if your returns are less than 1 year, we won't show annualized, at least on the main pages. Okay, so yeah, so this question about not being able to find this Greater China Fund, Edelweiss Greater China Fund. So apologies for this, but it's just the naming convention. Umair, if you could search for, I think it's called GC something, Edelweiss, and then Yeah, so it's basically called GCE for some. So this is how you can find it. So yeah, so if you were typing China, you won't find it. You'll have to type GCE and it shows up. So hope so that way you'll be able to find it. Okay, so there's another question saying RTA data from CAMS is getting updated daily. Okay, the RTA data from Kavi is not getting updated daily. It's only after a week. Yeah, so
hi, just 1 second. So, you just mentioned about that how I can find the Greater China funds.
yes.
Just wanting to check, but these are not then put it in the proper header. So when you go into the fund section and try to find out basis the category, so it should reflect in the category. It doesn't reflect in the category.
So okay, I just select. I think it was FOF overseas.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So I have chosen, say, suppose, yeah, I mean, if you can just kind of.
So there it is, Edelweiss GCE. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, so it's not in equities, right? It's going to be, so there it is. Fifth from the top, Edelweiss GCE offshore fund. There's another GEO. So some of these have been abbreviated, and that's the reason they're showing up like this.
Yeah, but I think I suggest if you can just kind of categorize them properly as a, say, suppose all overseas market-based funds.
Well,
but how do I select that?
The thing is,
we can't categorize ourselves. It is all SEBI category.
These are SEBI categories, so we have to follow them. So, I mean, if we were to categorize them, maybe we would have categorized everything very differently. But
so it should reflect in sectoral foreign equity. Is this the correct thing which I should choose in your equity drop down?
Right.
See, if you select sectoral foreign equity, then it doesn't reflect all of them.
It doesn't. But the issue is not something we can change, because this is what SEBI has said, right? So SEBI has not categorized this GCE fund, for example, as an equity fund. It has given it a categorization, overall categorization of other. And within other, it is put into FOFs overseas. That's the issue.
Okay, so are you saying that sectoral, other sectoral, I should go and check then?
Yeah. So if you, for example, keep put this off, put this the FOF overseas off, and select the sectoral one, and let's see what's there. So we have to obviously we have to I mean, this is not our categorization, but we have to follow them.
Fine,
so,
got it.
And I believe that the reason this is happening is because if you look at the GCE fund, they are holding other funds. They are actually fund of funds. And these ones are, I think, as far as I understand, holding direct stocks. So I think that is the difference, really. So I don't know if it will show up here in asset allocation, but I think they'll have, so they've got Microsoft and Amazon, etc., directly holding. But if you look at the GCE fund, I believe they will be basically holding other mutual funds, maybe foreign mutual funds, who are then holding direct stocks. So yeah, let's load one of them. Yeah, there you go. So they're holding this Greater China, JP Morgan Greater China US dollar share class. Right?
Okay, got it. Thanks.
It's just a feeder, basically. Okay. So the one question was about the RTA data from Carvi not getting updated. So CAMS is something that we've automated, so it happens every night. Carvi is something that our team actually orders on your behalf, and we are only able to do that once a week, because otherwise it's of course it's it takes a while to do this. So currently what we're able to offer you is CAMS updated on a daily basis, but Carvi is updated on a weekly basis. We are looking at ways of looking at the auto updated files, but there have been some issues with the auto subscribed files where the data is missing or not updated on time. So currently the sequence is CAMS is updated daily, Carvi is updated over the weekend. Okay. A question about, okay, please tell us once again how to check analytics for a model portfolio. So you can just basically create a portfolio in the portfolio section. And once you do that, you just, you put in your funds, etc. And then you click the down arrow in front of the name of the portfolio and just click hit run. And you can basically look at all the results from the analytics that are run. If you want a separate training session to kind of go through this in detail, then please just write to us at support. at NGENresearch.com, and we can arrange something where they can go through the portfolio analysis with you in detail. Another question is, how to analyze funds when, say, they are less than 1 year old using NGEN. Look, I mean, obviously this is up to your kind of personal beliefs, etc. But obviously funds that are less than 1 year have to be taken with a grain of salt, unless, of course, maybe the manager is is experienced and has done other funds and has decent performance with other funds before. But even so, small funds, they can be subject to a lot of issues. But if you want to analyze funds that are less than 1 year old, obviously you can run them in the analytics section and look at the returns. I mean, rolling analysis won't make much sense. Neither would drawdowns. So to be honest, the amount of quantitative analysis that you can do with a fund that's got less than 1 year old data, is very limited. So you probably have to rely on your qualitative information, who the fund manager is, what kind of history, what the fund does, what the holdings are, that sort of stuff, rather than quantitative stuff. Less than 1 year is really not enough data to kind of analyze something numerically, in my opinion. Okay, PGIM Global Opportunities Fund is, let's try PGIMG or something. Let's see if it's actually there. It's just a funny name. I think it's, no, so global is it this one? It could be this one. We will check out and let you know. It might be this one. Maybe it's Global Equity Opportunities or something. But yeah, it's possible that it's this one. Okay. There's another question saying, asking values taken from RT is updated daily basis. So as we said, GAMS is daily, Carvi is weekly. And the question is the values of the schemes and NATs updated daily? Absolutely, yes. So your client's latest holding will be updated as of Monday. When the fund moves, your AUM, you will see every day is changing. That will happen for both GAMS and Carvi, regardless of. So for example, if we forgot to update your RTA data, both GAMS and Carvi for 1 month, your AUM will still continue to move, because the holdings have different values as a result of the NAV changes of the mutual funds. Okay, can we get historical benchmark values? So you can, for a limited amount of it, you can go to the market section. Anything you see on the market section, you can just click on it. So you can add it to the chart firstly. Once you add it to the chart, you can add as many as you like. You just click on this button and it will download the historical data for everything that is on the chart for whatever start date you've chosen. So as you can see, Umair is just opening up this Excel, and there it is. So he had 3 of them in there. So you can see a date aligned history of all these indices. Okay, yeah. So I think those are all the questions on the chat. Is there anything else anybody would like to ask? Thank you, sir. Thanks for your kind message. We continue to work hard on releasing more things. We are, just for your information, we are currently working on a much improved version of the report analyzing software for us. Currently, you can load your NSDL, CDSL, and CAM summary statements here, but we're working on something that's better and will give you much quicker and more accurate information. There's a message from someone saying that the data for CAMS and Carvi is not done. If either Payal or Shahrukh is online, please follow up. Or if Umair, Anurup, just make a note, please, so we can follow up why that data isn't updated. Okay. If there is nothing else, Umair, I think we can, it's a perfect time, 5 p.m. We can close off for today.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, so I have taken your details, Deepak sir, and someone from our RTA team will be in touch with you. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session, and we will come up again next Friday, 4 o'clock, with something new, with a new topic and updates. Thank you, and have a nice